Alrighty then. So suppose you want to make your own room. So it's actually, there's a few more steps to it, but it gives you a lot more control. And it's always a good idea that if you know what kind of a room you want to create, that you actually have like a top-down sketch of it or a blueprint or something, or even like if you just quickly sketch out how your room is laid out or your house is laid out. But let's say we're just going to Bob Ross it and just kind of make it up as we go along. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to go to my sculpting, click on the orange box with the little primitives in it, click on bipeds, and drag human body out. And we see, woo, it's big. And the reason we want this guy is so we can make a room that fits him. We don't want to shrink him down. We want to make the room bigger. So I'm now going to go in and I'm going to create a polygon cube. Now, some of you may notice that if you go in and create a polygon cube, its interactive creation is on by default, which means that when I go to create a polycube, not a NURBS, but a polycube, orange, it wants me to draw it and then draw it, and it gives you this. The only problem with this is just, I mean, I can change what its size is and bring it back to normal, but then it's floating and it's doing all this stuff. So, for some things it's okay. I usually don't do it that way just because of my workflow. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a polygon, turn off interactive creation. And if I go to my poly modeling menu, or I just go to create polygon primitives, I can choose a cube here, or I could choose a cube here. And you see it creates it. This is gonna be my room, but you see it's awfully dinky and it's going through the grid. So, and if I scale it, it's gonna scale out in all directions. So I wanna do a couple of things. One, hold down the letter D as in dog, V as in Victor at the same time. So D and V. Grab the green arrow, so the top one, and drag it so it snaps to the bottom. So what we can see is now if I rotate around this, it's at the bottom. Let go of everything. Hold down the letter X as an Xavier, and this will snap it to the grid, boop, and it snaps. Now it's resting on the grid, just like our arched footed friend here. And I'm going to show you why we're doing this. So now that I have this with the cube selected, I'm just going to go to modify freeze transformations. Now it's all zeroed out. So now when I scale this, it's going to scale from the floor, not from the center, which means if it scaled from the center, every time I scale it, I'd have to move it up and adjust it. It becomes a pain in the butt. And as I scale that up, we can see, but it's difficult to work with, right? I could press the number 4 so I could see how big the room is to them. I don't want it like this because that, most people don't have a bedroom with a ceiling that would be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people high. That's pretty insane. So, and so something a little bit more reasonable of a height. And then we'd start out, and this was mode 4 wireframe, where I can decide how big I want this to be, right? This could be my room, decent sized ceiling, pretty high, you know. You don't want too short so that it's claustrophobic. And I press 5, but you'll notice every time I go inside, it's dark. I pull back, I can't see anything. So the next thing we need to do is I need to change it so I can look through the walls and the ceiling like a video game. And I'm going to, with it selected, just the room, the cube, go to go to mesh display, reverse, and this is going to turn it inside out. So this is like an eggshell, right? I can see the outside of it that's gray, the inside is black. And we're going to flip it inside out so that the front faces that we see here will be pushed inside. Okay, so that's the first thing, and now it looks black, but when I go inside, we can see. So that's step one. And that was selecting it, mesh display, reverse. Now that it's black, I still want to be able to see through the back. I don't want to delete these surfaces, I just want to see through them. So I'm going to go to display with it selected, polygons, back face culling, and in other words, hide the back faces. So now they're still there, but I can see through them, which makes it a whole lot easier for me to work with things and select them. The only other thing you'll notice, it's hard for me to select him without being inside the room because it's still calculating the ceiling or the wall that I'm on the outside of. So I can modify that simply by going double click on my selection tool. And then I can choose how I want to select things. Do I want to highlight back faces? Do I want to only be able to select, what's in front of me? So I can do like, oh, do I want to highlight back faces? Yeah, it's still working there, but let's do this. Let's say we want to camera base, oops, marquee camera base selection. There we go. So I turned on marquee camera base selection, so it's based off of the camera and not off the model. And that'll make it a lot easier for me to select things. Now it's double clicking this, just switching that. Now, the last bit of this is just a room. Well, but suppose I want something like L-shaped or something like that. So I right click and hold, and then I would go into face mode and select a face. I can extrude, or which is when I'm editing the mesh, Control E, or I believe it's Command E on an apple. Extrude that out. Maybe select this face, Control E, extrude that back. Cool. Nice, nice, nice. So if I wanted there to be an L shape, or if I wanted there to be like a hallway, whatever the situation is supposed to be. I can even add an edge in there. So quad draw, I clicked on this for my modeling tools. Quad draw, control, holding down control or command. And I'm just moving it back and forth across an edge and just left mouse click to create an edge. Right click, edge, select that edge, select that edge. Oops. Stop that. Let's go back to the selection tool. So you, and then I can have a vaulted ceiling. And if it's giving you that little weird grayness like this, with that edge selected, just go in, mesh display, hard edge. So it's not trying to soften it out. Anytime you're getting that hard edge. See? If I want a window, and do this a little bit differently. Um, Last thing is like windows and doors. And let me just show you that actually in the next video so we can keep it simple.